Rolling around at the speed of sound, Sonic not only has lots of places to go, but also lots of characters to interact with throughout his many adventures. What started out as a simple feud between a speedy blue hedgehog and an egg-shaped genius of robotics, the Sonic series has introduced a wide plethora of dynamic characters throughout the several decades it's been around. Whether it be a rival, a friend, or a friendly rival, Sonic has had his fair share of relationships with these characters, some of which are on better terms than others. With all that in mind, which of the Blue Blur's acquaintances rank as his best friends, and which ones are his worst enemies? I'm Keefe Nossi with One Up Binge, and this is Sonic the Hedgehog Relationships, Healthy to Toxic. Before we spin dash into our list, let's take a minute to set some ground rules. As per usual, we are only going to be looking at relationships canonical to the game series. Any outside sources such as comics, movies, or animated series will not be taken into account here. Our apologies to the diehard Chris Thorndike fans. Secondly, due to the abundance of characters in the Sonic series, we're going to be narrowing the list down to mostly major reoccurring characters. Seldom seen villains or allies who have little to do with the overall series or don't have a meaningful relationship with Sonic himself probably will not be taken into account. Sorry, Fang, but that means you're sniped from this list. With all that out of the way, let's run into our countdown, starting with the healthiest relationship and working our way down to the most toxic. The gold medal for Sonic's healthiest relationship easily has to go to the one he has with his oldest sidekick, Miles Tails Prower. Ever since his debut in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Tails has been by Sonic's side as often as he can be, helping him throughout various situations. Tails looks up to Sonic like an older brother, and Sonic gladly reciprocates this feeling, always taking Tails on his adventures and protecting him when the need arises. Tails is not only one of the only characters who can keep up with Sonic's pace, but actively helps Sonic with his ability to fly. On top of that, Tails is a skilled mechanic who can create advanced vehicles needed for certain situations, which also greatly helps Sonic throughout his journeys.
Something's not right.
If Sonic is Eggman's physical rival, then Tails is the evil doctor's intellectual rival. The great thing is, we're not telling you anything you don't already know if you've played 5 minutes of any Sonic game featuring Tails. The mutual respect, admiration, and care between this fox and hedgehog is immediately apparent, which is more than enough to fly it to the top of our list. The silver medal for Sonic's second healthiest relationship goes to his relationship with Sonic, or to be more specific, a classic Sonic. They say self-love is the most important kind, and luckily for Sonic, he has it in more ways than one. In Sonic Generations, both Sonic and Tails meet up with the original versions of themselves after an encounter with the Time Eater. While initially very thrown off, it didn't take long for the Sonics to get along once they understood their situation. Sonic is known for his somewhat cocky attitude, so it makes sense he would love the hedgehog he used to be as much as he does the hedgehog he currently is. Classic Sonic is not much for words, but he is more than willing to associate with his modern counterpart to unite against the Time Eater. Modern Sonic even teaches some moves to Classic Sonic that he had yet to learn, such as the homing attack. These two Sonics' teamwork skills and mutual appreciation for each other is more than enough to grant this tale of two hedgehogs the silver medal of healthy relationships. Flying in to nab the bronze medal is another one of Sonic's airborne companions, Cream the Rabbit. While not the most prominent character in the main series, Cream the Rabbit has definitely had a notable presence in the Sonic universe ever since her debut in Sonic Advance 2. Often accompanied by her small chow named Cheese, Cream is one of the most polite and friendly characters that Sonic has ever encountered. Much like Tails, Cream views Sonic as an older brother, and the two have a very close relationship at times. When Blaze was looking for someone to help her cause in Sonic Rush, Cream immediately thinks of Sonic for the role. This shows how much Cream not only respects Sonic, but believes in him too. All of this lands the relationship between Sonic and Cream the bronze medal in our rankings. Up next, we're looking at Sonic's relationship with the aforementioned Blaze the Cat. First introduced in Sonic Rush, Blaze the Cat initially set out to save the world on a solo quest. Blaze and Sonic didn't get off on the best terms at first. Sonic believed Blaze to be working for Dr. Eggman, and Blaze believed Sonic to be a nuisance who was standing in her way.
By the way, you seem to look less spiky.
After the misunderstanding was cleared up, Blaze and Sonic worked together to achieve their mutual goals and have remained friends ever since. Sonic and Blaze have a lot of respect for each other's abilities, despite the fact that their personalities are quite different. The friendship that these two have goes to show that good first impressions are hard to make. Even if they got off on the wrong foot, Blaze and Sonic have one of the healthier overall relationships in the Sonic series. Speaking of getting off on the wrong foot, Sonic's relationship with Knuckles the Echidna glides into our next spot. First appearing in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Knuckles was initially tricked by Dr. Eggman, I guess he was just Robotnik back then, into thinking that Sonic was out to capture the Master Emerald. This led Knuckles to constantly trick and fight Sonic throughout the course of the game, allowing Dr. Robotnik to capture the Master Emerald behind Knuckles' back. After realizing his mistake, Knuckles teamed up with both Sonic and Tails to reclaim the Master Emerald. Ever since then, Knuckles has remained close friends with Sonic, appearing almost as often in the series as Tails. Unlike the Flying Fox, however, Knuckles and Sonic tend to butt heads a lot more often due to their conflicting personalities. Sonic is carefree, laid back, and jovial, whereas Knuckles is stoic, serious, and quick to anger. Despite the conflict that often arises, Sonic and Knuckles are portrayed as very close and respectful toward each other's strengths. If Tails is Sonic's best friend, then Knuckles is his best frenemy, which is not necessarily bad. If anything, Sonic and Knuckles' competitive nature makes sure they'll always strive for the best, if even for no other reason than to outdo the other guy. From one gliding treasure hunter to another, Rouge the Bat swoops in to round out the healthy relationships section. Appearing for the first time in Sonic Adventure 2, Rouge the Bat was another character who was initially Sonic's enemy, sort of. Really, Rouge was more someone who happened to land on the opposing side of Sonic's mission, and had more of a rivalry with Knuckles than Sonic. After this, Rouge appeared in many other games, often on an opposing side of Sonic, but rarely, if ever, his actual enemy. It seems that Sonic holds no ill will toward Rouge despite working against each other on multiple occasions. This shows Sonic and Rouge are at least open-minded and won't blindly hate someone for simply landing on the opposite side of the fence as them. They don't interact much, which is why this relationship doesn't rank higher, but Sonic and Rouge have a decent enough relationship to land them at the bottom of the healthy section. With the healthy relationships out of the way, let's speed into the gray area. These are relationships that could be deemed as healthy or toxic depending on what way you look at them. At the top of the gray area, we have Sonic's relationship with Amy Rose. Unrequited love can make you do some crazy things, especially if you have a huge hammer to swing around. Originally known as Rosie the Rascal, Amy first appeared back in the groundbreaking Sonic CD as Sonic's self-proclaimed love interest. Ever since then, Amy's chased Sonic around from game to game, always attempting to win him over romantically and eventually marry him. We can't blame a girl for being dedicated, but seeing how Sonic has not once shown even slight interest in a relationship with Amy, we wouldn't call this the healthiest crush.
What are we waiting for?
Amy's obsession with following Sonic has landed her in danger multiple times, even though she's learned to fend for herself in more recent years. Sonic is annoyed by Amy's constant pestering, but that doesn't mean he doesn't care about her. He does consider Amy to be a close friend and will go out of his way to save her whenever he can. Also, despite Amy's annoying traits, you can't say she doesn't demonstrate a large amount of loyalty toward the Blue Hedgehog, and will often fight alongside him when the need arises. If it weren't for Amy's obsession with Sonic going too far, too often, we'd be willing to put this relationship in the healthy section. As it stands, though, it sits at the top of the gray area. Riding his hoverboard into the next spot is Jet the Hawk. Appearing in the Sonic Riders series of games, Jet the Hawk is Sonic's hoverboarding rival, who has a lot more experience around the hoverboard tracks than Sonic does. Considering Sonic and Jet are both cocky, competitive, and hate losing to anyone, their rivalry didn't exactly leave the two on the best of terms at first. While Sonic was building his way up the hoverboarding ranks, Jet would constantly mock and berate him, possibly because Jet felt threatened by Sonic's growing abilities. Once Sonic finally beat Jet in a hoverboard race, the two became friendlier toward each other, turning their rivalry from less of a serious competition to a friendly competition. Jet's even worked together with Sonic on several occasions in order to take down a mutual threat. One positive thing we can say about Jet is that he's an advocate of racing fairly, and will accept his defeats after they happen, as much as it might enrage him. Jet and Sonic may be consistent hoverboard rivals, but seeing how much they love competition, that isn't enough for us to call this relationship purely toxic. Coming in next, we have Sonic's relationship with the Hedgehog, who's a little less fond of the blue blur than Amy is, Silver the Hedgehog. Appearing first in the fan favorite, Sonic 06, Silver is a time-traveling hedgehog who targeted Sonic after believing Sonic was responsible for destroying the planet. Between Silver, Knuckles, and Blaze, it really seems like the characters in the Sonic universe have a reoccurring problem of misunderstanding each other's intentions.
I finally found him. The Iblis Trigger.
Though, once the ruse is lifted, Silver teams up with Sonic and his cohort in order to save Princess Elise. Later, the events of the game get wiped from history, thus Sonic and Silver have no memory of ever encountering each other. The two have a new meeting during the events of Sonic Rivals where they once again get off on the wrong foot. Talk about making a bad first impression twice. Silver and Sonic seem to dislike each other's attitudes, with Silver seeing Sonic as cocky and Sonic seeing Silver as arrogant. Pretty similar. Sonic and Silver seem to be on friendlier terms since then, working together during the events of both Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces, and the rivalry he has with Sonic has become much more of a friendly competition. It took them a long time to get there, but their recent attitude towards each other saves this relationship from being downright toxic. Rounding out the gray area, we have Sonic's relationship with Sonic. Whoops, mixed that one up. In actuality, it goes to Shadow the Hedgehog, possibly Sonic's most iconic hedgehog rival. First appearing in the second entry of the Sonic Adventure series, Shadow was an ultimate weapon created by Gerald Robotnik, who just so happened to have a lot of the same features as Sonic. In fact, Sonic and Shadow are equals when it comes to their physical capabilities, both boasting similar speeds and capabilities with the Chaos Emeralds. At the beginning of Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic gets captured by Gun due to them mistaking Sonic for Shadow, who was wreaking havoc around the planet. Despite Shadow and Sonic obviously looking different from each other, honestly, between Shadow the Hedgehog and Shadow Mario, the early 2000s seemed to be the era of characters making stupid mistakes with framing video game heroes due to their Shadow versions. Now, considering Sonic is a freedom fighter and Shadow was bent on world destruction, the two made for the perfect yin and yang conflict in Sonic Adventure 2. After realizing Gerald Robotnik was a madman, this caused Shadow to change his ways and team up with Sonic, even going as far as to sacrifice himself for the fate of the world. This caused Sonic to gain a lot of respect for Shadow, not seeing him as the evil being he initially thought him to be. After being resurrected in Sonic Heroes, Shadow and Sonic have had an off and on again rivalry, leading them to occasionally work together or be at each other's throats, depending on the situation. We wouldn't go so far as to call these two hedgehogs friends, but their mutual respect for each other does shine through enough for this relationship to just barely clear the toxic section on our countdown. Finally, let's roll into Sonic's toxic relationships. These are the characters which Sonic has the biggest beefs with out of anyone in the series. Starting off this section, we have the silver medal for Sonic's toxic relationships, that being his long-running rivalry with Dr. Eggman. Formerly known as Dr. Robotnik to us Westerners, Sonic has been a consistent thorn in Dr. Eggman's side ever since the two first debuted in Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis. While Dr. Eggman has an abnormally high IQ, he still has yet to find a way to successfully thwart Sonic from destroying his plans. Eggman hates animals and wants to use them as sources for his robotic inventions, making him one of the few video game villains who has a subtle environmental commentary attached to his character. Unlike Shadow, Silver, or Jet, who have all somewhat let go of their hatred of Sonic, Dr. Eggman's rivalry with the Blue Blur has never waned throughout the many years they've been fighting each other. There have been occasions where they've put their differences aside, such as at the end of Sonic Adventure 2, when they worked together to save the planet, but this happens very infrequently. Sonic also fails to take Eggman as a serious threat, likely due to his many triumphs over the Doctor, and mocks him at every turn, much to Eggman's dismay. Dr. Eggman is a tyrant and goes against everything the freedom-loving Sonic stands for, which is more than enough reason for him to take home the silver medal of toxicity on our countdown. With all that taken into account, which character could possibly top Dr. Eggman for Sonic's most toxic relationship? Well, none other than one of the Mad Doctor's inventions, of course. That's right, Metal Sonic flies in to take the gold medal on our countdown. Long before Shadow was being mistaken as a fake Sonic in Sonic Adventure 2, Dr. Eggman created a fake Sonic of his own that could also rival Sonic's abilities. Matching Sonic in speed and being a very dangerous entity in its own right, Metal Sonic was basically created with the sole purpose of stopping Sonic at every turn. Unlike Shadow, or even Dr. Eggman, Metal Sonic not once has ever teamed up with Sonic in any way, shape, or form throughout their many encounters. While Sonic mocks and berates most of Eggman's inventions and schemes, Metal Sonic seems to be the biggest exception to that, with Sonic viewing the robot as a very serious threat to him. After its many defeats, it's implied that Metal Sonic grew to hate Sonic even more, often becoming a bigger threat in his subsequent appearances. It could be argued that, since it is a creation of Dr. Eggman, that Metal Sonic's hatred towards Sonic could simply be an extension of Eggman's hatred. However, due to Metal Sonic becoming more bitter toward the Hedgehog, we're willing to bet that Metal Sonic's hatred towards Sonic has extended past its programming and become a hatred of its own. Now, if a robot possibly experiencing emotions as a result of its hatred toward the main character isn't enough to land Sonic's relationship with Metal Sonic the toxic gold medal on our countdown, we don't know what is. Let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. If you need a one-up, make sure to hit that notification bell and binge more of our Sonic the Hedgehog videos. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.